Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's meeting of the Audit Committee. Today, Monday, 21st of June 2021. This is the first of two Audit Committee meetings in the month of June. We'll have our second one on the 30th of June. So you're all very welcome. And if I can start, first of all, and ask whether there are any apologies and substitutions.
We have an apology from Councillor McDade, we have an apology from Councillor McCall, and we have an apology from Councillor Harry Coates, with Councillor Ahern substituting.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we therefore just proceed to a quick roll call of who is present? Thanks.
Morning, members. When I call out your name, if you could please confirm that you are present. Councillor Drysdale, we've already heard from yourself. Councillor Ahern.
Present.
Councillor Liz Barrett.
Present.
Councillor Donaldson.
Present.
And Councillor Illingworth.
Oh, I'm present.
Thank you. All members are present, convener.
Thank you. A compact and bijou little meeting this morning, and you're all very welcome. Are there any declarations of interest in respect of the business today? If so, please put DI in your chat. Just give it a few seconds. I'm not getting any responses to that one. So if we can therefore now move on to item 3 on the agenda, which is the minute of the meeting of the Audit Committee of the 2nd of December. Does anyone have any issues with any of the content of the minute? If so, please put Q or comment in the chat. Nothing coming through, therefore can I take the minute as approved? I shall take silence as agreement.
Agreed.
Okay, even though that wasn't silence, it's agreed. Thank you. Okay, moving on therefore to item 4 on the agenda, which is internal audit follow-up. And again, as usual, if I can ask Jackie Clark, Chief Internal Auditor, to speak to this paper, please. Jackie.
Thank you, convener. Since the last meeting of the Audit Committee at the end of last year, Internal Audit has undertaken a detailed review of all of the actions that are outstanding, and many of which have been impacted by the continued response to the COVID-19 pandemic. But we have gone through quite an extensive exercise with all services regarding their actions. From 1.4 onwards within the report, it gives a summary of these actions, but there are 2 reports from which the majority of the actions, and particularly the high-risk actions, relate. One relates to the Live Active Leisure Income Collection and Reimbursement Audit Report, and that has been impacted by the campuses not being fully opened for LAL activity as yet. And the other one relates to cash collection, which again has been significantly changed during the pandemic. The recommendation for this report includes to note the position and to receive an updated position regarding all actions arising from those 2 reports at the first meeting of this committee in 2022, which will give the services sufficient time to review those actions and to ensure that the actions that are taken are effective in managing the risks which were identified. I will point out that there's a typo in the recommendation which says that's report 1001. That should be 1901, which is the Live Active Leisure Income Collection and Reimbursement. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Jackie. So if there are any questions, please can you type a Q in the chat? or if there are any comments, please type a C in the chat. Again, nothing coming through, so can I take that?
Can I make a comment? Sorry,
Yeah, certainly, Councillor Illingworth. Yeah, thanks.
It looks like a really good report, as you would expect from internal audit. Everything seems to be under control, and they seem to be progressing well with all these bits of work. So a good job there, Jackie. Thank you.
Okay,
thank you, Councillor.
Yeah, thanks, David. And okay, if there are no further comments, can we take that report as approved?
Approved.
Approved.
Thank you. Moving on, therefore, to item 5, which is the internal audit update. And again, Jackie, if you would care to come in on that one, please.
Thank you, convener. The full completion of the internal audit plan for 2021 has been impacted by resource availability, both within internal audit and with services' ability to accommodate internal audit activity as a result of their responses to the ongoing pandemic. The future internal audit plan, which will be presented at the next meeting that you've referred to, convener, that will reflect the work which will be carried forward from the current plan, and we'll present that, as I say, at the next meeting. At 1.2, it refers to an additional report which will be presented at this meeting. However, that also will be presented at the next meeting of the audit committee next week. The internal audit function has continued, and as I said, there's been resourcing issues within internal audit since December with a degree of retasking, but the auditors that we have are now back. We are about to undertake recruitment activity to add additional capacity within internal audit for professional trainees. So these are things which are progressing in order to ensure that internal audit going forward can provide a full service. But I'm happy to take any questions or comments on the report.
Okay. Thank you again, Jackie. And if there are any questions on the report, please can you come in now and have some questions. First of all, Councillor Liz Barrett. Liz.
Thank you, convener. And Jackie, thank you to you and your team. It must have been very challenging over the last year to try and keep up and cover things, so thank you for all the work. I just wanted to ask about 1.2, when you say there's one area has resulted in an additional report. Which area is that isn't here today?
That relates to a whistleblowing disclosure where there were control issues that were highlighted, but that will be coming to the next meeting. It wasn't part of planned activity.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Donaldson.
Thank you, convener. Although we have today a fairly light agenda, it's certainly not going to be the case next week. And also for our audit committee meeting on 20th September, it's not the case either. Could I just ask Jackie, given what you said on resourcing, are you quite confident we've got 10 reports for the meeting on in September? Are we quite confident that we will be able to deliver on these?
I'm confident at the moment that we will be able to deliver on the majority of them. There may be one that may slip a little, but it's my intention to bring the ones that are stated to the next meeting in September.
Thanks. And like others, I'm more than aware of the resourcing issues you've had, and I'm grateful to you and the team for all you've done. And often you've had staff that have been deployed to other areas of the council throughout the pandemic and for quite a while, and that included yes, certainly on the vaccination programme. But given what you've said, you're quite confident on, in particular, the report on digital IT assets, because there's going to be a fairly comprehensive plan on our digital policy. So that link coming up in the autumn, is that one that you feel might be, might not be in time for September?
Yes, that is the one that may well not make that committee, but I'm hopeful, but it does depend on resourcing at both sides.
Right. Okay. Understand. And thanks.
Thank you. I'll pass your comments on to the team.
Yeah, and thanks. And if I may, just for the record as well, everything just stated in terms of timetable is subject to the pandemic, and Jackie is not responsible for the pandemic, and so therefore it's very much in the lap of the gods as to what actually happens between now and September as well. So we need to bear that in mind and accept that that is the case, as I'm sure we all do. So no, thank you for that, Jackie, and thanks for the questions. Are there any comments? If you'll please put C in the comment. No, okay, can we agree to note this report? I'll take that as agreed. Thank you. Okay, so now moving on to item 5.1, Corporate and Democratic Services, a paper, Jackie, on task 2005, EU Withdrawal.
Thank you, convener. This report was finalised back in February 2021, so it is a few months older than the next report, and I think that's possibly reflected a little bit within the report itself. 3 control objectives are noted as strong and substantial assurance can be placed on how the council has prepared for Brexit as far as the council was able, in terms of managing and mitigating the risks that were arising. There are no actions arising from this report, but I'm happy to take any questions or comments. And I'm not sure who from the service is actually here, but I'm sure that someone from the service will be able to answer any other questions as necessary.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jackie. Are there any questions? And we have Councillor Donaldson.
Thank you. Could I ask Jackie, since this report was largely completed back in February, under control objective 1, on the what we're stating is that it's the whole question of digital inclusion, and it's unlikely, what you state, that this will now be possible for the EU settlement scheme deadline of 30th of June, which of course is only 9 days away. It then states the Health and Social Care Workstream awaits government guidance regarding applications for permanent residency for people who lack capacity and who have no one to advocate on their behalf. Since February, has there been any update? Because it really, I think, is an issue of considerable concern.
I'm not actually able to answer that question just now, Councillor. I'm not sure if there's anybody else in the meeting who is able to, but if not, then I will certainly get back and answer that question to the committee.
That's what I was hoping, that there might be somebody else, present.
Okay, and apologies that there isn't somebody on.
Councillor, apologies. I think Alison Seggie, who is our lead officer around this, is actually on leave this week. But we're quite happy to take any of these questions back. And as regards the digital aspect about the for people applying and needing support and help, because that was a role that had to be face-to-face and very close up, and it wasn't permitted. The registrars were supporting that, but it wasn't permitted within COVID guidelines at the time. I believe since then that there have been other workarounds developed, I think using our partners PCAVs. So I do believe that there has been some movement on that, but we can get clarification on that for you, and we'll get that circulated to all audit members.
Thanks. I'd actually be grateful on that, because as I say, the deadline is 30th June.
Yeah.
There's no indication of that deadline being extended.
What we could do, since we do actually have a meeting next week, what we could do is get a brief note put together for you that we could perhaps attach to the minute from today, just to clarify these points.
Thanks very much, Lisa. And I think it'd be helpful just to know if we've got an estimate, an indication of the figures of how many are still not registered in the whole of Perth and Kinross, and in particular those that might be suffering from digital inclusion. It may be an estimate, but it'd be certainly helpful to know. Thanks.
We could definitely speak to officers and try and get that information for you.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Are there any further questions?
Councillor Drysdale, I think you're on mute.
I'm on mute. Silly me. Okay, so can I take that as if there are no further questions or comments, can I take that as approved or noted? Noted. Thank you.
Noted.
Thanks very much. Okay, and moving on to the final report of the morning, which is under Education and Children's Services ECS payments. Again, Jackie, can I ask you to speak to that paper, please?
Thank you, Convener. Education and Children's Services, in response to the pandemic, reacted at pace to set up systems and procedures to ensure that payments can be made to parents for functions such as free school meals from the start of the pandemic. This review assessed the procedures that were being put in place, and substantial assurance can be placed on these. There were two control objectives assessed as strong and moderately strong, with one action which was arising out of the review, and that action has been completed. Obviously, this was undertaken at a very sort of critical time to ensure that payments were made swiftly in accordance with Scottish Government guidance, and Education Children's Services put in appropriate procedures at the time.
Okay, thank you. And I think we have Jim Coburn here, who is in a position to answer any questions that members may have. Okay, so are there any questions? I see Councillor David Elliott is typing. Oh, there we are.
There we go.
Right, David. If there are no questions, just check first of all. Don't appear to be okay. Councillor Illingworth, your comment, please.
Yeah, given that all these processes must have been put together at breakneck speed to put everything together in time, it's actually remarkable that there's only a moderately strong concern and then a strong. So I think it's another reflection of good work of the officers. So, another good news story.
Thank you for these comments. Are there any further comments? Don't appear to be. Okay, can we agree to note that report?
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. this must be some sort of record for finishing a meeting at 9:20 AM. I'm certainly going to go into the Guinness Book of Records now. However, in all seriousness, as was alluded to by Councillor Donaldson, our meeting on the 30th of June is a substantive meeting with papers which will require members' full consideration, and also, as indicated in this report, the meeting in September is going to be quite a meeting as well, with a number of papers to discuss. So thank you for your attendance this morning, and I look forward to seeing members again in 9 days' time.
Can I make a request that, given that we have quite a lot of papers to consider next week, can we get these released as quickly as possible to give us time to consider them?
Absolutely, David. Yeah, we will make sure that they come out on no later than Wednesday. As far as I'm aware, with the exception of the accounts which were being worked on at the time of the pre-agenda meeting, then these are more or less ready to go. So hopefully we can get them out in the first half of this week.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thanks everyone, and good morning.